Good morning. Welcome back to 1160 AM KBDT News Talk Sports. We're JP, Kathy, and the crew. We come to you live Monday through Friday from 7 a.m. to 9 a.m. You can catch us on our social media at JP, Kathy, and the crew on Facebook. Go to BigDTalk.com on the web. You can catch us at our station's website, or the Patriot Act did it for you. It's Fourth Amendment out the window. Alexa, she's always listening. Just walk by Alexa and go, 1160 AM KBDT, and we will tune you right in. There you go. It is currently 8:35.
And there are those black helicopters. And would you please hand me my foil cap?
Yes.
Thank you, because we do have those. All right.
You're welcome.
JP, we've got 54 degrees here in the DFW area. We're headed towards a high of 68 and a low of 56.
All right, there we go. We are super, super excited, and it's very, very timely to have Dr. Tyler Wooten on with us. We want to thank again the Something for Kelly Foundation and the Morgan Foundation and Patty and Steve and the great work that they're doing with the Mental Health Moment here at 1160 AM. If you're on Facebook Live, you're going to notice, and we do anticipate more people watching Facebook Live because people are actually home. And so we want to give you a heads up that we are practicing social distancing. As you can notice, Kathy and I are over an arm's length away. And
I mean, this place is so sterilized.
Oh, yeah. I mean, I use all kinds of stuff to kill it and wipe it down. But you're going to notice that Steve and Patty are not in studio. And until we get past this hump, we will have nobody in studio but the actual morning show crew. And we run a very skeleton crew. We have 4 people that come through here. We only rotate one person out. And so we have a very confined group of people. We know what everybody's doing, touching, so that
the building's on lockdown as well. We have to sign in and out.
So we're being very responsible. Yes. And so if you see something different, but Patty and Steve are with us this morning, I'm going to kick us off because I'm very excited.
But we miss having them in studio. So we can't wait to get back to normal with them.
We do. Well, yeah, I can't wait for the entire country.
In studio too.
Patty, our version of normal. So there you go.
Well, but I can't wait till we get everybody back to normal.
Right.
So, all right, but we've got Dr. Tyler A. Wooten with us, medical doctor with the Eating Recovery Center. Dr. Wooten, tell us a little bit about yourself and your background.
All right. Well, thanks for having me on. I miss Patty, but the social distancing with Steve has really been quite a blessing.
I love it. That's so great. What a great way to start off your segment, Doctor.
Oh, it's been so nice. I mean, there are some upsides to this horrible virus and pandemic that's going on in the world. So I am a pure psychiatrist. I'm the medical director of the Eating Recovery Center here in Dallas. I have been in the world of mental health for almost 30 years now, because I started as sort of a mental health tech in the old days when we had charter hospitals. And I loved it so very much that was the moment, probably about 6 months after I started working there, that I realized my calling in my life was to become a child psychiatrist. So I actually went to medical school only to become a child psychiatrist, and to the shock of my parents, when I told them I was going to become a doctor, they were completely floored, because I had never in my life thought I was ever going to go to medical school. But I did, and I've loved it, and I absolutely love what I do and love my job in treating eating disorders. It's been wonderful ever since. So I feel very blessed to have found this. Patty?
Yeah.
I can't tell if you can hear me or not.
We can hear you. Absolutely. We can hear you.
We can hear you, you bet.
Great. Thank you so much. Dr. Wooten, thank you so much for coming in or phoning in. And thank you, JP, for that very obvious. We miss being in studio with you guys as well. So, Doctor, please, let's just jump right into the fact that while people are isolating and self-quarantining, there's all manner of mood issues that are going to start to come up. Let's talk about what they are and how they might best deal with some of these issues that might be disturbing to them.
Of course. I mean, I think that everybody, certainly around the United States, is experiencing something that we today in our very fast-paced society have been forced to slow down and to live as I told my patients, I said, you're going to live a little bit like old Dr. Wooten. You're going to live a quiet, simple life right now. And there are many upsides to that, but I think a lot of people are struggling right now with overall just anxiety and worry, fear about what's to come, because it's unpredictable, and we don't have a precedent for the experience that we're having in our lives and our daily experiences. And I think people are feeling lost and confused, and they don't know what's going to happen next. And I think a big fear that things that are generating a lot of this fear and anxiety is probably plugging in too much to social media and TV. And I think they've got to refocus their attentions a little bit, because there is such a thing as information overload. And I worry about people who are just watching every little thing that's happening in the news. It's good to stay informed and so that we know what to do and what's happening around us. But watching it too much is actually detrimental to their mental health, because it tends to generate more and more fear and anxiety.
That's a great point. How do we help people understand that they're beginning to get information overload before it actually becomes too detrimental? What kind of warning signs? Because it's going to be different with each individual as to how much information they can have before they start to get distressed about it.
You know, it's a good question, and of course it depends on the individual. But I think when you're feeling overly confused, you feel your anxiety starting to spike, you feel that you can't get anything done, and that you're really losing focus. I think that is probably one of the things that you have got to pay attention to. I think when people get overly stressed, they tend to actually isolate more. And even when people are doing isolation to try to protect themselves and their family from this virus, I think when they're isolating, they tend to seclude themselves. And so it's one of the things to watch out for within yourself and your family, especially your children, that isolation is actually a hallmark that things are not going well. So even scheduling times or looking throughout your day to connect, even though you may not be able to be physically with somebody, or even in very close to vicinity. You know, we're a hugging sort of society right now. We can't do that, and we have to limit that. But, you know, calling people, calling friends, checking in, doing FaceTime so that you can actually be with somebody. And then if you're a TV watcher, unplug from the news, because there's a lot of really positive things that you can look at, watch, whether it's a fun show. Veer yourself towards comedy. Don't start watching a lot of movies that have to do with viruses and zombies and things like that. Like, let's try to uplift ourselves. I think another important thing to really try to focus on are the positives. I was talking to my mom just the other day, and you know, she's worried and she's scared and she's isolating. It's just her in her house. She's not working except a little bit from home. She's worried about a whole lot of things. And then I tried to veer her towards just a little bit of gratitude, because we may be isolated, but in today's society here in 2020, there are so many things that are actually making our lives so nice and so easy. We have running water. We have food delivery. We can still run to the store. We may or may not have toilet paper that we can find, but there is some very cheap toilet paper. It may be like sandpaper, but you can still find some toilet paper on Amazon. You know, all of our necessities and needs are actually still being met, and that we are not living in a deprived state, which I think needs that just focusing on that kind of gratitude that we can still be comfortable. We still have central heat and air for the most part. I think most people in first world countries still have electricity and running water. And I think we can kind of hold ourselves to that and say, thank goodness that I have these amenities and these nice things, that I still have my home. All of those kinds of things, my pets.
Doctor, you raised a very good point when you brought up your mom. There are many, many people who live by themselves, and for them it has to be so much worse. In fact, to the point where they could start to have PTSD symptoms. Can you go into that a little bit, and what can be done to really address the more severe instances when people are being forced to just live alone?
Yeah, I think if they have any kind of social support, that is something that they have to make an effort to reach out to that social support. It is a sign of health and well-being to actually do that. PTSD is an anxiety issue that can build and exacerbate over time. That, when I'm talking about anxiety to families, I'm often describing the experience that Tom Hanks went through in Castaway. That Tom Hanks is literally at a place where he's suicidal. He's making a suicide attempt, which is a growing worry that in this state of isolation that people are going to get hopeless. And in that movie, he's completely hopeless, and he is losing his mind from isolation. And he sees Wilson out floating in the water, and he stops his suicide attempt and goes and gets Wilson. And I use this as sort of a metaphor that he has to use another brain. A great teacher of mine said one time to me, it takes two minds to think. That one mind cannot think effectively on its own because it loses itself in its own ability to think and be self-reflective or lack thereof, and that we need at least one other mind to think effectively and compare realities and what's going on with our lives and the world. And so reaching out to others is, I think, the greatest thing that we can do right now to try to calm our anxieties, maybe chat about COVID-19 for a moment, but then really just talk about life and what's happening, or talk about the cat and what the cat did today, or something that is really just day-to-day activity. I think that's the best thing that we can do to help ourselves not unravel in isolation.
All right, real quick, want to give you a quick update. It's 8:47 here in the Dallas-Fort Worth area. We are 1160 AM KBDT. Want to thank Acadia Healthcare, the treatment placement specialist. Anytime you want an individualized conversation with privacy, get a hold of Chris Getz. She is one of your advanced treatment placement specialists at 469-400-7499. Again, that's 469-400-7499. Again, thank you, Acadia Healthcare, for bringing us the mental health moment. Kathy, I know that you have a question.
Yeah, doctor, what do you do if you've got somebody who already has a mental illness? They suffer from either anxiety or depression or bipolar or some type of mental illness that's diagnosed. Their routines totally thrown off. They're not getting out of the house like they normally would. What do you suggest for people who are in that situation? I mean, do they reach out to their doctor? Are there online support groups where they can get the help that they would normally get from going into a therapist, or, taking care of their daily business other ways? What can you recommend to somebody who already has a mental illness?
Really, yes and yes to all of that.
Okay.
I think that, we're social creatures as human beings. We need to be around other people and have those social connections. It's incredibly important for them to reach out to their doctors, to go to their pharmacies, to stay on their medication. And a state of routine is vital to our mental health. And getting up, even if you're isolated at home or working from home, creating a new routine is actually imperative.
Great
Getting
advice.
up, getting dressed, doing what you need to be doing in a day, creating things to do and to occupy your time. I love driving to work because I do have to go to work.
Right. And we'll come back and we'll follow up with this after a break, but this is really good information.
It is fantastic. Stay with us, Dr. Wooten. Don't go anywhere. Steve and Patty, hang tight. We are 1160 a.m. KBDT News Talk Sports.
And Doctor,
All right.
the Facebook can still hear us right now, so we
Yeah.
like to have other conversations. I think that's vital, what you talked about. I think even people who don't have a mental illness, but I think if you suffer from a mental illness and you already are on top of it because you do certain things when you drive to work, you have certain routines while you're at the office, all of a sudden those routines are gone. And maybe one of those routines was getting out and walking around the building. Well, okay, so then now you need to get out at that same time and walk around your neighborhood or get out. And even you can still get in your car and drive. I was talking about what I've done when I talk to my girlfriend, since, my son's doing online school and my husband's working from home now. If I'm going to have a personal phone call where I'm going to be cutting it up or, being silly with one of my girlfriends, I'll drive to an empty parking lot near my house just to get out of the house and have a conversation
Absolutely.
in a different place. So you're right. It's like you've got to create your own new normal. And so if you had things that helped you during the day, create new ones, I guess is what you're saying.
Yeah, I think especially if you have children, being a child psychiatrist, I'm so focused on children and what the family is doing, that if you've got kids, even if it's just one child, and all of a sudden you're in the house, and the child is always going to look to the parent to help establish a new norm and a new routine. So if you think about holidays, any holiday that a kid is in, that they're always in, I'll use Christmas as an example, that kids love holidays because they're predictable, that typically families do the same thing every year on that particular day. And that actually provides a lot of safety and security for children, that they know when we get up, then we unwrap presents, then we're going to eat sausage balls, and then we're going to go to grandma's, and then we're going to open grandma's presents, and then we're going to have Christmas lunch, and then we're going to do this, and then we're going to do that. And that happens every year the same way, for the most part, almost exactly the same way. And so right now, it's actually imperative to create a schedule for children, not only for yourself, but for your children as well, that they need a state of predictability and regularity to their day. The worst thing that could happen is that kids get up, they run around in their pajamas, they have no structured activity, and then the parents are asking them what they'd like to do today. Well, that is the wrong person to ask. Because if you think about like summer camp, which may or may not even be happening this year.
Right.
When kids go to summer camp, the summer camp counselors are in no way going to ask the kids what you'd like to do today. Those activities have been scheduled and planned for weeks, if not months. And they know exactly what they're going to do each and every day. And so does the kid. And it makes the kid relax because the grown-ups are in charge and they're going to tell them where to go and where to be and how to do this and let's explore that and have this new learning activity. And now you're going to learn how to row a boat or whatever it is. That the kids just completely relax and their anxiety decreases when the parents are in charge.
Oh, and Doctor, we're about to go back on. This is all excellent advice.
Good morning. Welcome back to 1160 a.m. KBDT News Talk Sports. Don't forget to pick up Wayne Allen Root. That's right. I like calling him the War Room. He's way cool. Starting at 5 p.m. right here at 1160 a.m. KBDT. It is currently 8:54.
All right, JP, and we're headed towards a high of 68 today and a low of 56. And the sun's gone behind the clouds. So
It's gonna
partly cloudy and sunny today.
It's going to be that way all day.
Okay, I want the sun to come back out. Come
What was
on,
that movie?
sun.
Was it Inside Out or something? What was that?
With the one about feelings.
Yeah, be joy.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
You're joy.
I am.
I'm anger.
No, you're
I'm not.
not.
Okay.
Oh, please.
Am I green with it? What was it? Green with envy or something?
No.
Oh, because I'm not really
Who was the
envious.
silly one?
I don't know, but I'll be him. Or you be him, or we'll be both of them.
We'll do.
All
We'll
right.
split that.
We've got the mental health moment. We've got Steve and Patty with us from the Something for Kelly and Morgan Foundation, and they have brought with them Dr. Tyler Wooten. And I cannot thank you, Dr. Wooten, enough for joining us. Great responses on our Facebook
this is
Live feed.
fantastic.
If you want to hear the conversation that transpired over the break, go to JP, Kathy, and the crew on Facebook. Amazing conversation. And, you know, Steve, I'll tell you, Dr. Wooten comes with high regard, I know, from you and Patty, and cannot thank you both enough for what you're doing.
Well, I've had the pleasure of knowing Dr. Wu for probably about 10 years now. When he was in independent practice, we had a few sessions with Morgan, and he did some great work with her. So just been so thrilled and impressed. And since that time, I've gotten to know him as a friend as well, and just respect him and his work so much.
All right. And so, Steve, what do we know? What else do we want to know from Dr. Wooten? It's the 856 here in Dallas.
Doctor, at this point, where can people go to get help? Let's say if they're feeling lonely or distressed or need support, are there some resources out there that they can call in, just hear a friendly voice?
Yeah, there's all kinds of therapists that are still working, and if they're not working from their office, they're absolutely working via a Zoom or a Ring Central kinds of meeting. Therapists have not in any way closed their doors, and they're not seeing patients. So I think any way to reach out and find a connection and establish a relationship with somebody is vital. You know, we all need somebody in our life, and if we in any way are feeling over isolated and we don't for some reason have resources or any kind of support system, and your mind is getting a little bit lost and confused with all the information that's coming at you about the coronavirus, I think it is vital to reach out to somebody and find a therapist and make a connection. Therapists are actually they're so educated and so trained, but they're so compassionate and wonderful to establish a relationship. And sometimes that relationship can end up lasting years and really allowing and helping you not only step through this period of time, but continue to step through the difficulties and sucker punches and adversities of life in a way that helps you examine not only where you've been, where you are today, and where you're going in the future. It's one of the greatest gifts that you can actually give to yourself, you could give to your children at this period of time. I often compare a therapist to a very close family friend, that like one of your parents' close friends that you made a connection with as a young kid, but then you knew as an adolescent, as a young adult, and into adulthood. That person has always been there, but they're not your parent, which is sometimes a very difficult relationship to maneuver and be able to talk openly and honestly with. But a therapist is that kind of person, and they're trained, and it's confidential. So it's really a lovely person to say anything to.
Well, this has been fantastic, fantastic information, Doctor. We really appreciate you, and would love to have you back on again and have you come in studio when all of this is lifted.
Oh, I'd love to.
Well, Dr. Wooten, again, thank you so much. Cannot thank you enough. And Steve and Patty, thank you for the connection and bringing them in again. We want to thank Acadia Healthcare for all that they do. They're your treatment placement specialists. If you want a private one-on-one because you're concerned about the information, Chris Getz is your go-to. She's your advanced treatment placement specialist. Call her at 469-400-7499, 469-400-7499. We're JP, Kathy, and the crew, and the Mental Health Moment every Tuesday. Thank you, and have a blessed day.
Yes, stay healthy, be blessed, and social distance.
All right. And Steve and Patty, we are still on Facebook. Dr. Wooten still on Facebook. Great conversation, commentary going back and forth. Dr. Wooten, you have spurred conversation on our page about people can pick up books and read books that are positive, thinking books. Yeah. People are throwing out titles and authors. And so, Steve and Patty, if you want to continue the conversation.
Sure. I know that Patty was cut off, but I think I'm gonna drag her into my office and put her on the speakerphone here. But Doctor, again, just appreciate your time. You know, any last good words of advice to people out there who are struggling as to things they can do in their own home, either yoga, deep breathing exercises, things like that?
Yeah, I think one of the greatest skills that we can develop is getting into and understanding what mindfulness is and mindfulness/meditation. I think when I mention these things to a lot of patients, they tend to recoil from it.
Allergies.
One, because they don't understand it, and two, because it is a practice and takes a skill. It's learning a skill. I was talking to a patient about mindfulness last week, and I was trying to get her to just practice being in the moment, not getting lost in the past and not trying to predict the future, but actually just be in the moment that she's in. And she struggled with it. And I said, listen, here's the deal. If you wanted to learn to play the piano, you would have to practice. You wouldn't be good at it when you first sat down, but if you continued to practice over time, you would get better. Now, the key to that, getting better, is that you're actually rewiring your neural net. You are changing your brain chemically and structurally as you practice the piano. And so if I were a concert pianist and you did a functional MRI of my brain, there are areas of my brain that are denser. The neurons are densely packed in those specific areas that any concert pianist is going to have a different brain. And the only way that has happened is because they've practiced and practiced to where they just sit down, they don't look at the keys, they just start playing, and it's so automatic. And it's the same thing for mindfulness or meditation, that it is a practice. But when you start to develop that skill, you actually will decrease anxiety, decrease worry, decrease a focus on the future that cannot be predicted, and you develop a sense of what's called central coherence, of sort of seeing the big picture of life, but doing so in a flow rather than in a tightly gripped attempt to control everything. That you come into a state of acceptance that life is a series of changes, and it's a movement like a river, and the river always takes the path of least resistance, and it's always changing. The saying that you can never put your foot in the same river twice, because it's always in a state of flux and change, and so are we as human beings. So pulling ourselves to the moment that we're in is a state of peace and acceptance. And all you have to do is actually practice that over and over and over again, and you will rewire your neural network in a way that will bring less anxiety and a greater state of satisfaction and contentment of the life that you're living.
Interesting. Doctor, I know we have to wrap things up, but again, appreciate so much your time today. I really love how you have effectively overcome your Arkansas roots, and you didn't discover your electricity till
Oh my
in
gosh.
med school. We
You
still have
too.
that, but
He's terrible.
Now I
knew it was
understand the
coming.
comment at the very beginning when the doctor introduced himself.
Yes,
knew it
exactly.
was
So,
coming.
Dr. Wooten, you are my new hero because the tagline for Something for Kelly is gratitude is the new currency. So everything that
That's
you
right.
said just resonated right in line with our whole vision and philosophy. So thank you very much for joining us today.
We appreciate you. This was great. And come in studio next time.
I'd love to. Thank you guys so much for having me.
You bet.
All right, Doc.
All right.
you.
Thank you,
Bye.
doctor. Bye, Patty. Bye, Steve. Love y'all. Do y'all know who we have on next week?
Yes, next week on the Mental Health Moment, we have local doctor, psychiatrist, Dr. David Henderson, and he's going to be talking about obsession and stigma and mental health, and I'm sure probably a little bit about this COVID-19 thing as well.
Excellent. Excellent. Well, thank y'all so much. We love you guys and missed having y'all in studio. It's just not the same.
Absolutely.
Thank you, Kathy. We miss you guys also.
Well, we shall see y'all soon. Let's do a video or a FaceTime happy hour sometime soon.
All right, that works.
Absolutely.
All right. Love you guys. Bye.
All right. Take care, all.
Bye-bye.
All right. Bye to Facebook. We will talk to y'all tomorrow. We will have Dr. Good will be on talk. Oh yeah, I'm still gonna be on the mic. Oh, hello. Dr. Good will be on at 8:05 talking about okay, now they've extended the social distancing to April 30th. I had several friends of mine who have young kids who they're trying to homeschool and they're trying to work, kind of panic. So she's going to give us some hope and some information and some links and some intel on what you can do with your kids and how you can create a good schedule that's a good balance for you and for your kids so you can take care of your health and their health as well. So anyways, we'll see y'all tomorrow. And then Thursday, Money in the Bank with Frank. Love y'all. Have a great day. Be blessed.